everybody, welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. Our next guest is absolutely, positively one of the funniest guys around. You've seen him on Detroiters, you've seen him on Veep, and now you can see him in the new YouTube show, Champaign ILL. It is so funny, it stars him and the also hilarious Adam Pally. Let's take a look.
How you guys holding up?
Shitty.
Super fucking shitty, Craig.
So the funeral is tomorrow.
Funeral.
We spent 15 years in the rap game, holding weed and procuring late-night snacks for our boy. Then, our friend died. So now nobody gives a fuck about us anymore.
The gift bags, the handouts, everything.
Handouts? This motherfucker said handout.
You guys need to take care of yourselves now.
Motherfucker, what?
My house always been this small?
Hey, kiddo!
What the fuck happened to my room?
It's Pappy's room now!
What kind of bullshit move is that, Ma?
I was just about to call you and talk about how depressing it is being back home.
It's been a rough couple days.
It's been a rough week. You ain't gonna do shit, little bitch.
It's been a rough few weeks.
Stop fornicating with your cousin.
Don't look at me!
Your behavior of the last 2 weeks has been extremely self-destructive.
And destructive.
Are we still doing this comeback? If this crew stays together, we could be unstoppable.
Ron, do you see what is happening right now? Lou, he is guardian angeling us from heaven.
And you get your ass out there and you fight for that life that you want.
Dude, we're fucking doing it.
Look out. Oh, shit.
We out here. We out here. God damn it.
Everybody, please welcome Sam Richardson. Let's hear it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Sam, first off, I'm going to ask, how do you choose your projects? Because, I mean, the three things that you're most well known for right now, this, Veep, and Detroiters, are three of some of the funniest comedies that I think have been around in a long time.
Yeah, if somebody asks me to do something, I'll do it, and that's my method.
Luckily, like, you've been asked by people making really great stuff.
Just very lucky.
Yeah.
No, I think I kind of gravitate towards, well, for Veep, I was guest starring, and then I became a part of the regular cast, which is amazing. And then Detroiters, I created with Tim and Joe and Zach. And so this one, I kind of just gravitated towards the scripts. I really liked what the story was, and I liked who this character was. So, sitting down and talking to the show creators, it seemed like a really great fit, and I was really excited to do it.
When you got cast on Veep, you said that you started as a guest star, but was it even like less than a guest star when you first started? Because I vaguely remember seeing your character first come about, and then all of a sudden he was a main part of the cast.
Yeah, so it was a guest role, but only for one episode. It was supposed to be. It was supposed to just be there to help Selena when she's on the book tour, kind of just help her with the book tour while everybody else was at a wedding, and so I think it just went. We had such a good time, and I think it went well enough. And I think the character was something that was missing from the show. Not missing, but it was a nice add-on. Yep. They just kind of started to.
Well, when you became Jonah's campaign manager, it was like we're not campaign manager.
Well, Jonah's assistant.
Jonah's assistant during the campaign. That was just one of the great duos I think that TV's ever had. But speaking of duos, were you aware of? Had you worked with Adam prior to Champaign ILL?
No, I knew Adam, but only in passing. Like we'd met at like a party and a concert. So we knew each other.
Concert.
Run the Jewels in Los Angeles, California.
Killer Mike's Netflix show.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm really excited to.
They're the best.
To see that.
Aren't they like the best live show?
They really are.
2 or 3 times.
And they're really good dudes too. Really nice. Like we went and we met them.
I saw them open for Lord.
Oh really?
Twice. It's so great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you were just looking around at the Lord fans and their moms watching.
What is this?
Yeah.
We'd rather be royals.
So you met Adam Pally at a Run the Jewels show a long time ago, and then the show came up. You and Adam are EPs of the on the show, right?
Yeah, because Adam was like in pretty early on the development phase of the show. And they brought me in, and they offered me the extension to be an EP, so I could have some creative control and like license over myself, which was great because it helped me feel even more invested in it.
Is that something that after having created your own show and being on something like Veep, I wouldn't say that you require, but something that you're like at least ask for or interested in?
That I am interested in for sure, because especially like that being the gear that I'm very used to now, like just being able to at least have a say in the shaping of everything. With Detroiters, there's not a thing that happens that I don't get to say yes or no to. And Veep, that's not my role at all. I'm sit back. What happens happens. Not as bad as that, because they're pretty communicative on the set of Veep. But I wanted that to be part of my experience with Champaign ILL as well, because I wasn't a writer on it, but to get to produce it with everyone else was something that I hope to do with most of the projects that I do in the future.
Right, because if you're not credited as that producer, right, or if they don't sort of at least recognize you in that role, it becomes really difficult to engage with notes or any ideas that you have, just because simply people are moving really fast and they only want to deal with the people that they have to deal with.
Exactly. So and maybe not even on purpose, but like an email will go out to the producers and you're not on that email, and then you'd be like, oh, I didn't know this was happening. Where like script changes, schedule changes, stuff like that, which is like really stuff that just it's good to know, especially if you're in that like as like a co-lead of a show. I feel sometimes that stuff can kind of like miss you, and it can be frustrating. So I want to.
And if you're just co-lead of the show and you don't have that producer thing, and suddenly you're on set and you're like, well, I didn't know about that.
I didn't know about that. And it's like, oh, well, I said, like, oh, but.
You're liable to get a little frustrated, and everyone's like, oh, come on, the actor is getting frustrated. Yeah.
And mind you, these guys really wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But it's always nice to like. I think for the future and for myself, I'm trying to make that an expectation.
One of the characters in the show that we were actually talking about during the trailer is Keith David, who plays your father. The sort of like amazing Keith David, who I hope at some point starts receiving Lifetime Achievement Awards.
Yeah.
Awards for having been around for so long and having done such amazing work.
He is incredibly brilliant.
In this, he is wearing a fat suit.
He's wearing a big old guy suit.
What's it like working with him?
It was such a learning experience. He can ground anything. Like he's wearing a big fat suit, but it always felt grounded and real. Because I think most comedians, you put on a fat suit, and you'd be like the default kind of move you want to do is like, whoa, low, yeah. But he wouldn't,
The clumps.
The clumps. You want to go clumps. But Eddie Murphy in Clumps, pretty amazing too.
Yeah. Like 7, 8, 9 characters.
He played 7, sitting down at a table, eating dinner with each other and being straight man and doing bits to himself. Amazing. But Keith David, I'm talking about like legendary actor and with good reason. And the guy's voice is soothing, intimidating, and calming all at once.
For those that don't know, Keith David is from Something About Mary, where he plays Mary's father, and a host of other things.
If you watch Disney's Gargoyles, he was Goliath. That's the thing that I kept on bringing up to him.
Incredible reference. I had no idea about that.
Oh, Disney's Gargoyles, one of my all-time favorite shows, and I let him know that too much, maybe.
Because you're probably the same age as me. So Gargoyles and like Batman.
Batman the Animated Series.
Batman the Animated Series were on when you came home from school. They'd always be on. I'd have to flip. The babysitter would put on talk shows, and she'd leave, and I'd flip on Gargoyles.
Yeah,
Batman the Animated Series.
It was so dark. Both those shows are so dark and gritty.
Yeah.
But like, there was good storytelling that they really.
Who were they for? I mean, we all watched them because they were on, but like, who did the producers? They were like, look, the kids want prestige animated TV.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what they want.
They want to see like real, true crime and people to be helpless.
The kids are gonna love this.
Oh yeah.
Darker.
No, darker.
Make
the parents die. Good.
Batman needs to be like Jack Nicholson in 5 Easy Pieces. Just go for it, guys.
Can he have a drinking problem? Can we show alcohol? Let's try.
No? Okay, create a fake drug, okay?
Yeah. We'll call it Oopsie Poopsie. There it is.
So in Champaign ILL, you guys, basically your friend who you have been an entourage for the past 15 years, as we saw in the trailer, he dies, he's a rapper, now you have to move back home and be losers.
Exactly. And, you know, they think it's like a temporary stay. Like, they've put their lives on hold. When they were 18, they're like, my character was going to marry his high school sweetheart. Adams was going to go to Yale.
I love that opening scene, the 3 kids, yeah.
Yeah. And then they find out Jay Farrow's character got a deal, a music deal, and he's going on tour. So then we drop everything, we go with him, and spend 15 years on the road, and he dies, and now we have to go back to square one. We haven't been attending to our lives at all. We just thought that was a gravy train that was going to go on forever. So the show is really about how do these guys deal with having the rug pulled from under them.
Well, they also both think that they're going to return home and have the life that they had in high school as well as the fame that they have now sort of combined at the same time. They assume that the girls that liked them in high school like them now. There's an incredible storyline with a woman that you meet in online dating that ends up being... Has that episode aired yet? Can we talk
so
about
they're all available at
They're
once.
all available at once, okay.
On YouTube Premium.
Right.
So yes, yeah. And the thing I don't know if the spoilers are an issue. Maybe this will entice you to see more of it. I meet a girl on an online dating application, and we match pretty well. A lot of the same references. Turns out that we are cousins.
Which you learn as you are...
Mid-thrust. Can I say that? Mid-thrust?
I was kind of hoping you were going to say...
That was a gentlemanly way to say it, I thought.
I was kind of hoping you were going to say, maybe this entices you. I fuck my cousin.
Oh, yeah, that's one way. So I'm all the way up in there, and I'm like, uh-oh, we're kin.
I know the show is written, the scripts are really tight. And so obviously there isn't that much room for improvising, but I do feel like in the credits of the show every now and then, it's you and Adam just being totally ridiculous, which feels like one of the few moments that you really got to let loose. Is that basically what those are?
Those scripts are pretty tight, but there were moments in there, and I think Adam and I are both pretty adept improvisers where we can, at least if we know where we're supposed to go, we can kind of make that dialogue seem kind of seamless, so it fits in. So we're not just doing jokes to watch the actors make jokes, but we're kind of like speaking in the voices of these characters. But few and far between, because the jokes in the script are pretty airtight.
The stories are tight as well, so you can't really veer that far.
Right.
It's the same thing that I imagine. I know that with Veep, you guys are allowed to improvise, but even with Veep, when you're watching that, it's such a tight storyline that no one can really veer that far off track.
Exactly, because you can't, like, in a scene, improvise, oh, yeah, well, that guy's actually going to the store. Like, then you got to film the store, and you don't have that set. So you can't, like, add story beats. We're like in an improv show, just a clean.
I'm laughing because it's like the worst improv. I'm like,
oh no,
yeah,
he's not here.
Well, the guy's at the store.
The guy's at the store, and I killed you. Now you're dead. It's like, well, no, he can't be dead. That's not. It's got more things to do in the series. But
when did you start doing improv?
I started doing improv at the Second City in Detroit when I was 15 years old. I started taking classes at Second City, 15 to 16.
How did that come about?
So I went to an all-boys Catholic high school, didn't know it was all boys, so like, hit puberty and was very annoyed. And one day I was at football practice, and a bus load full of girls came into the school, and I was like, well, I'm going to go check what that is out. So I went. And they were going to play auditions, so I got involved in the plays. And I'm just like trying to zoom through this so you don't have to listen to my backstory.
I like it.
Thank you. Then I'll go back. The day was June 3rd.
The bus rode by, filled with women.
Bus rode by, filled with women of different ages and credos. But when I got involved in the plays, and when my friend Pete Jacokes was taking classes at Second City, and he had a class show, and I knew about Second City because I've always been like super enamored with comedy, and I knew everything about SNL and
So at this point, before
movies.
even going into plays, you were kind of what we call a comedy nerd.
A comedy nerd, yeah. Like I would always watch Kids in the Hall, just so like nonstop, just like every comedy movie I knew word for word.
Yeah, like literally speaking my childhood as well. It's like the Gargoyle and Batman the Animated Series get a little older. It's Kids in the Hall after school.
Yep.
And then like SNL, they used to show SNL reruns on, I think, E.
On E,
and
yes,
Comedy
they did.
Central sometimes,
Uh-huh.
right? But Comedy Central was where Kids in the Hall lived. And
Yeah, exactly.
then I had all the DVD. I love the kids so much.
And then like UC Upright Citizens Brigade as well, like all those shows.
Bucket of Truth, and I
Bucket
remember
of
all
Truth.
of those jokes.
Don't you think I know that? It's my favorite.
Titular line and Out of Africa.
Ass pennies, a bunch of there's UCB, and like that's so funny. Like I was a big fan of Upright Citizens Brigade. But now that I work with Matt Walsh, I like try to like it took me like a little while to be like, ha, all right, let's just work, and I can't like fanboy on you.
Well, he'd allow it. He's like the
He
nicest guy in
loves
the
it,
world.
and I refuse to give him the benefit.
Once you realize he liked it,
I'm like, no, this is done.
you like this.
You
too
give
much.
me compliments.
Has there been anyone else that you've worked with since you started that you've had trouble not fanboying out on?
Well, the whole cast of Veep is like full of those people, and like the guests on Veep were like amazing. And I'm talking about like people like Peter McNichol. I'm talking about how much I love Ghostbusters. I tried to be chill, and I'd be like, Janos from Ghostbusters too. Oh, I love you. Like just I'm at work. Let me be at work, and I say I appreciate your acting. You're a genius.
But it is Vigo.
But it is Vigo. Yeah. You're like the buzzing of flies to him. I'll just do lines from movies for the rest of this, and I think it'll be fun.
Because you're all getting them. I can hear it.
Oh yeah, I hear the couple
brimming with
chuckles.
life over here of two comedy nerds. Talk about Veep for a second, because Veep is coming back this spring after a brief hiatus because Julia had a cancer scare.
Yes, which she is completely cancer free.
Thank God. It's a legend. We can't. What was that like when you guys got that news when that happened?
Well, it was frightening, because like we are such a tight family, and we're all you feel like helpless outside, because like you don't want to invade her space also, because you don't know.
She's also the boss.
She's the boss, so like the cards are hers, and it's pretty remarkable. We kept on doing table reads. Like we would continue like with the process, and then it came to the point where we had to now take the break, and then she had to go through her chemo and her surgeries. But I think the work was helping her get through stuff. You gave her a goal, and we were all behind her, and just so happy that she came through it. But it was really frightening, I gotta say.
Now this is the final season of Veep that's coming in the spring, right?
Yeah.
Do they pull out all the stops?
Every stop is pulled out. You name a
I
stop.
don't even know what that phrase actually means now that I say it.
I think it has to do with trains.
Oh,
I don't
yes,
actually
think you're
know
right.
that, but
yeah.
it just seems like that's
Why are they pulled?
because that way the train can keep on going.
Okay. Oh, really?
I don't know if that's true. It just in my head as I'm speaking, it seems to be what makes the most sense.
We're pulling all the stops.
Pull the stops out. We're gonna come through. If you want to lose those stops, leave them. But we know that we're trying to keep on going through, so pull the stops out. Pull out all the stops.
I mean, every season of Veep is incredible, but what was it like getting these scripts for the final season?
Each one was like a gift for each of us, because like there's these moments where you're like, oh, what a payoff for like so much stuff, that like we were all so excited to read these scripts because we want to know how these things tie up.
Each character wraps up.
How each one of them wraps up. So it was like it's like a fun event when you get to come to the table read and be like, oh, this is what happens. Amazing. And like we wouldn't get the scripts beforehand. We used to get the scripts ahead of time, but they were like working so hard to get these scripts ready to roll that we would read the scripts at the table read. That was like, for most of us, that was like the first time we were reading the scripts, and just gut laughing. All these guys are so funny, and the writing is so good.
Forgive me for not remembering. Were you on the show prior to the showrunner changeover?
Yes.
Right. So
I came in season 3. The showrunner change that happened in season 5. So
Armando to David, right?
Yes, Armando to David. Season 5 was David's first season, and that was the first season we moved to production from Maryland to L.A.
Wow, what was that like?
It was the transition was pretty great, actually. It took a little bit of adjusting, because that's going to happen if you have a whole new set of writers. And there was some crossover, and then once everybody on the new writing staff knew the show, and David was a big fan of the show, so he, was able to grab the reins. And pretty remarkably, it didn't dip, if you didn't know that the showrunner changed, you wouldn't know,
I would agree. I don't think in quality it dipped at all.
Yeah.
I think as a fan of the show who's watched it, I could see a slight change in tone. I think as much as Armando Iannucci is known so well for his insults, the insults in Mandel, it's almost like he was trying to match Armando and went even further in a great way. But you could just feel an even harder bite in that season.
That's the thing about those insults on that show. Whew. I mean, they are incredible, and they are biting, and there's nothing, because the joke is about you as a person, because really it is they're saying about the character, but it's about your physical appearance. So you're well, you're doing a joke about Sam, you're doing a joke about me.
What have they given you that broke you the most?
Was it a teddy bear looking fuck? That's the main one that's hurt the most. I am not one. But you gotta laugh, so that means I am one. But it's so funny because you'd be there and the joke wouldn't work, and then you see them and the writers go off and huddle up, and they come back with the most devastating insult. You're man, you were all bullies, but you found a place to use it.
Who do you think gets the best insults?
Jonah is insulted the best.
Yeah.
What, cloud fucker?
Because it's so weird, because he is actually, Timothy Simons is a male model.
Yeah.
Right? So he's
Is he?
I thought he was a model, prior to acting.
I didn't
thought I read that somewhere.
No insult to Tim. There's no way that could come off as not an insult, being he's a model. Really? That's I didn't handle that well at all.
I thought I had read that somewhere, but it's so funny when they insult him for being the ugliest human being on earth.
Yeah. Jolly Green Jizz Face, that's one. So, there are some good
Who do you think is the best at delivering the insults?
Julia.
Yeah.
Julia's great. Julia is maybe the best at delivering those insults. Reed is really good at slipping those insults in too.
Who is the actor? Forgive me for forgetting his name. The actor that plays, I believe he's a senator, and he always has one of his aides with him.
Dan Backadall.
Dan Backadall. He's got the foul mouth, right?
He's the foul mouth. Yeah, he plays Furlong. Right. And he the cadence, and then he's got Will, who he'll tag team the joke with him. He makes him he'll make Will say a completely terrible thing about himself.
Right.
To punctuate the end of that joke. Gymnastics, but they nail it.
Well, Sam, man, congratulations on all the work. The shows that we've talked about are some of the best, some of the funniest shows there is. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Champaign ILL is on YouTube Premium right now. All the episodes, go watch it. It's incredibly funny. Really great work, and give Sam Richardson a huge round of applause for being here.
Thank you.